Hi everyone, it's Suzanne. Welcome back. In today's video, I'm going to share with you our latest book haul. This book haul is primarily middle grade books with a couple of chapter books thrown in and one picture book. I thought I would start off with the picture book. Look, I wrote a book and you can too. And that's by Sally Lloyd-Jones and Neil Layton. And it's actually quite funny and cute and encouraging children to write their own stories. And it explains the different parts of books as well as stories, beginning, middle, end, and even titles. Fun titles and bad titles. Overall, fantastic, wonderful picture book. Next, we have the chapter books in this book haul, and they are all from the series The Kingdom of Renly. In the first book of the series, we meet Prince Lucas, who is lonely and wants to play with other children in the kingdom, but his father, the king, has forbade it. He teams up with the seamstress's daughter to find a lost stone, and the adventure begins, and the series continues with other adventures. I love this series because for any kids starting to read chapter books, I find they're really great. All right, the remainder of the books are all middle grade books. And I'm just going to show you this first one that I ordered from Chapters. I say this because the remainder of the books I ordered from Book Outlet. This is The Forgetting Spell, which is the second book in the Wishing Day series. So I have 1 and 3 and I wanted 2. This is by Lauren Miracle. And in the first book we meet Natasha, who comes from a family that totally believes and is steeped in magic. Lauren, however, does not. She goes to the wishing well and she makes 3 wishes that end up coming true. And that's the beginning of the series. Everything that happens from those wishes. And then, like I said, this is the second book of the 3. Next, we have A Nest for Celeste, a story about art, inspiration, and the meaning of home. And this is by Henry Cole. And this is the first of 2 books so far in the Celeste series. Celeste is not your average mouse. She lives alone. She's an artist and she weaves baskets. And then her world is turned upside down when 2 naturalist artists show up. And this book is about their artistic journey. And I think that sounds really cute and adorable. I will let you know how it goes. Next, we have the first book in the Uncommon series. And this is by Jennifer Bell. And I have to say, I don't love this cover. I've seen the other covers and they're so cute. This is the first of 3 books so far. So not long after policemen show up with toilet brushes at their door. I just think that sounds so funny. Ivy and her brother Sparrow end up tumbling into a magical world. Welcome to Londondoor. It's a secret underground city. And on the back it says where uncommon buttons can mend headaches. Uncommon bells offer to charm directions. And uncommon vacuum cleaners are perfect if you need a clean getaway. But life is not all it seems in Londondoor. The town is tormented by an evil guild called the Dirge, which has kidnapped their parents, and they race to get their parents back. I'm looking forward to reading this with my daughter. This one I'm really excited about. This is called The Sisters of Glass, and that is actually the name of the series as well. This is the first book in the Sisters of Glass series. So far, 2 have been published, and this is by Naomi Gypris. So this is about 2 girls that live in 2 different worlds. Halan is heir to a magic kingdom that has been ruled by ancient magic for years. Unfortunately, she has no power whatsoever. Nala, in another land, is a pauper where magic is outlawed. And she finds her powers growing and she's having a harder and harder time keeping them down. The 2 girls are connected by a legendary mirror. And between the 2 of them, they have to save both worlds. This is the first book from the Adventure Guild, and this is by Zach Lauren Clark and Nick Eliopoulos. In one of the last cities standing after monsters have destroyed the world, best friends Zed and Brooke are hopeful for the future. It is extremely windy outside. I'm not sure. I'm hoping the sound is turning out fine. But boy, is it ever blowing. Zed desperately wants to join the Mages Guild, and Brooke wants to join the Merchants Guild. And just when they think they're going to get everything they wish for, everything takes a turn and they end up in the Adventurers Guild. And the guild is the last line of defense between the city and the dangers, they're called, which are otherworldly monsters. Again, this is the first of the series, and there's 3 published so far. Next we have the second and third book from the Curiosity House series. And this series is by Lauren Oliver and H.C. Chester. In the first book, we're introduced to 4 orphans who have grown up in the Museum of Freaks. They're all great friends having a great time until a 5th kid is introduced to the mix. His name is Max. And when the museum's Amazon shrunken head, yes, I said shrunken head, is stolen, they set off to find it. And of course, that's the beginning of many adventures. Again, this is a Curiosity House series. Next, we have the second and third book from the Max Tilt series, and this is by Peter Larengis. In the first book, he finds his grandfather's manuscript, and it's called The Lost Treasure. And at first he thinks it's fiction, and then he finds out that it's real. There really is a treasure, and he thinks he can solve all his family's problems. So he gets together with his cousin, and they set off to find this treasure. Unfortunately, other people are looking for the treasure at the same time. Let's see who finds it first. I'm really excited by the next series. This is the Guardian Herd series, and this is by Jennifer Lynn Alvarez. She does a lot of writing in the mythological world. And these are the first 2 books in the series. There are 4 so far. So these are the first 2 of 4. And we have Starfire and Stormbound. Once every 100 years, a black foal, a black Pegasus, is born and changes the lives of the 5 herds of flying horses. This time, Star is the black foal that is born. Unfortunately, he has deformed wings. However, the other herds do not want to take any chances, and they're trying to execute Star. So he has to get away and hide, and he really has to rely on his friends. I'll be curious to see what happens. Again, this is the Guardian Herd series by Jennifer Lynn Alvarez. All right, getting down there. Next, we have the Adventurer's Guide series. There are 3 books in this series, and I am actually going to cheat a little bit for the full name of the series because it's quite a mouthful. I never remember it. I'll look at my computer here. St. Lupin's Quest Academy for Consistently Dangerous and Absolutely Terrifying Adventure Series. Wow. Okay. Now, these are the first 2 books of the series. So far, there are 3. This is called The Adventurer's Guide to Successful Escapes. This one is called The Adventurer's Guide to Dragons and Why They Keep Biting Me. And this is by Wade Albert White. And if you're curious, since I have it up, the 3rd book in the series is The Adventurer's Guide to Treasure and How to Steal It. Okay, this is fun already. There are 2 kinds of adventures. 1, the kind that involves unicorns and lollipops. 2, the kind that involves escaping from a prison-like orphanage, falling off an exploding mountain, and getting fireballed by a dragon. Or possibly eaten by a zombie shark. This is a story about the second kind. Anne has spent her 13 years in an orphanage, scrubbing floors, basically being a servant. When she's denied her rightful place at St. Lupin's, she decides to leave with her best friend Penelope, and a magic coin falls into her hand. They have just days to figure out the mystery and answer the riddles before something terrible happens. I love this title. The Guide to Dragons and Why They Keep Biting Me. Now, the next one I think was like book 5 of a series. It must have been a really good offer from Book Outlet for me to buy number 5, especially a hard copy. This is called Seeker's Fire in the Sky by Erin Hunter, and this is from the Seeker series. She also wrote the Warrior series. So there are 6 books in the series, and I just checked. This is indeed the 5th book of the series. In the first book, we meet 3 young bears from different species that have been separated from their families when they were just young cubs, and they end up working together to go on a perilous journey, and it's about their adventures. Now we have another series that I'm excited about. This is Page & Co. And this is the first of 3 books, and this is called The Book Wanderers, and it is by Anna James. I do believe I watched a movie with my daughter that was based on this book. Or was it a TV series? In any case, I've heard wonderful things about this series, and I look forward to reading it. I might read this with my daughter or without. And this series starts out with Tilly, who is 11 years old, and she's lost her mother. She's disappeared, and we meet her at her grandfather's bookshop, where suddenly characters from some of her favorite childhood books start appearing in the shop with her. And then she discovers that she can follow Alice, for example, that showed up from Alice in Wonderland, that she could follow her into her story, and that she can, in fact, go into any story that she chooses. And she is determined to solve the mystery of her missing mom. I have one book left now. The final book is called The Library of Ever, and this is the first book of 2 published so far from the Library of Ever series. This is by Zeno Alexander. So Lenora is bored. Her family is off traveling the globe, and Lenora ends up discovering a door that leads to the best library ever. Yes, I'd like to go to this library. So this library contains all the world's wisdom on its shelves. And she ends up being appointed the 4th apprentice assistant librarian. There's a mouthful. She goes to visit the stars. She travels to the future where there's robots. Then she ends up meeting a dark nothingness that wants to destroy the world, and it's up to her to save it. I love this last piece of the description. The Library of Ever is an adventure across time and space as a young girl becomes a warrior for the force of truth. There you have it. Those are all the books in this haul. Thank you for watching. If there's a book you've recently picked up that you're enjoying, please let me know in the comments below. And I will see you soon with another bookish video.